साफ हो। है वही इंसान जहाँ इंसानियत का वास हो। है वही इंसान जहाँ इंसानियत का वास हो।
है वही इंसान जहाँ इंसानियत का वास हो। है वही इंसान जहाँ इंसानियत का वास हो।
है वही इंसान जहाँ इंसानियत का वास हो।
I came to Ahmedabad in 1967, and from the time I started understanding dance, I started understanding what art is, especially performing arts. I began to go and watch performances, especially at Darbana. At that time, there were critics like Dr. Digavi, Srimati Usha Rammurthy, Manisha Lavkumar, Radhika Buddhadev, Professor Vijay Trivedi. They all used to be critically reviewing performances, be it music, dance or drama. In fact, when we were sitting in the dark and suddenly when we hear, wow, we knew that it was Dr. Digavi. These were people who contributed in a large way to art per se in Ahmedabad. And then, a couple of years later, Professor S.T. Desai, who used to be working in HL Commerce College, began writing in Times of India. I very clearly remember that once, while I was performing, and we did an Ashtapadi, and the next day I was waiting for Professor S.T. Desai's review, and when I read it, I found a critical remark in that review. I wanted to know why Professor S.D. Desai wrote this. So I called him up and I said, sir, can you explain to me why you have mentioned this particular word in that? And sir said, Bijoy, knowing you so well, I thought I must write this so that you don't make this mistake again. And that's very true, friends. People who tell you where you went wrong and people who remark to you saying that, okay, this should not be done, I think that improves your art, that improves your performance. Because the next time you go to perform, you don't want to make the same mistake. Professor S.T. Desai then became very close, a dear friend whom I used to look up to. And many a times it used to happen that while he was staying near Vijay Charasta, he would call me up and I said, are you by any chance going to this performance? And I would say, yes sir, I am going. He said, all right, can you pick me up on the way? So we used to have these journeys many a times, short stints of maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, where we would be sitting together in the car and talking about art. Even recently, I must say that I did do this even after he shifted to his new home. There's another thing that I remember, and I really fondly remember, is that one day he called me up and he said, Bijoy, I'm coming out with a book, Images. Will you design the title page for that? What an honor. A book that was going to be published by Gujarat Rajya Sahitya Parishad, and in that I get a chance to design the title of his book, which contained articles about various performances that happened in Ahmedabad, of which he had reviewed in Times of India, a collection of that. I readily agreed, and very soon the title design was ready. And then came up this launching of the book, and Dr. Uma Anantani and I, together, we coordinated a wonderful evening where S.D. Desai's sir's book was released in a very traditional way. And we had many performances which was interlinking the whole program. There was reading from the books. There was a lot of shlokas of Natya Shastra that was being recited and performers dancing on that. There was Kalari, there was Bharatanatyam, there was Kathak, and there was, of course, Sugam Sangeet also, and folk dances. It was an evening which showcased the various forms of art that existed in Ahmedabad. And we were lucky to have Srimati Mrinalini Sarabhai in the audience. So, the then cultural secretary, Shri Varun Maira IS, who was the chief guest of that program, released the book, and the first copy was presented to Srimati Mrinalini Sarabhai.
I have been asked to say just a few words, but for the first time perhaps I'm a bit struck dumb by the beauty of this evening and the release of this valuable book. I have known the author for many years, and sometimes in the beginning when dance and music was not so much appreciated, and when I used to feel despondent and distressed, he would always be there to encourage us and to tell me that someday, I'm sure in Ahmedabad, people will love dancing and they will appreciate it. And today when I saw not only Kathak, but also Kalari and also other forms, I felt so pleased. And like the artist, we look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thoughts. Our love is always through our art, and we give that love to you and all the world every time we stretch out our arms. I thank Mr. Desai for his book on behalf of all of us artists.
Tim ta tum ta tom ta ta te thang ta ke ta ke
The passing away of SD was very sad and quite unexpected, as I had met him just a few days back when he seemed quite well. He was very popular amongst the artist community of Ahmedabad, may it be dance, drama, music, for whom he always wrote a very encouraging review in the newspapers. He will be missed in Ahmedabad as there is no other person to take his place in the theatre activities. R.I.P. Suresh Bhai, as he was known to me.
There were so many such instances with Professor S.D. Desai. He was a person who, in the audience, if you look towards the second row, somewhere in the middle, you would see a frail, delicate man, mainly dressed in white, sitting there and observing minutely every performance.
Here I am sitting in Natrani, in the very place where S.D. Desai sat ever since the theatre was redone. In the old theatre too, he always sat in the second row on the right side of the aisle. Ever since we started Natrani in 1994, that's where he sat, that's where he always was, and I would always look at him from the stage or come and talk to him if I was not performing. Over the years, he has become a part of Darpana, a friend, somebody you could depend on, somebody who could counsel you, somebody who would probe us about aspects of each new performance. In between, when his health was not good, we used to miss him. And then earlier this year, when we started this full season again post-COVID, he said to me, "Now I'll come, now I'm fine." We met him at the Birds performance just a couple of days before he passed away. As somebody who has reported on the arts, as somebody who used to love the arts, he will be dearly missed. There is nobody that I can see in this city who can replace him. We will miss him too.
And after the performance, he would go up to the artist and try to understand more about the performance, so that when he wrote or when he covered that particular performance, he didn't want to miss anything. Desai sir was known to always never touch delicate parts of the performance, never really rudely write about anything that is bad about the performance. He would write or cover the whole event in such beautiful, flowery words that when the performer read the article the next day in Times of India, he or she would only be happy. In his career, not only as a professor of HL Commerce, but also as a critic in Times of India, in Attendance, in Nartaki, and also lately he used to be writing for an e-magazine. He always wrote wonderful, dignified articles.
Om Shanti for Suresh Bhai Desai ji. What to say even on this big loss of 2022. Suresh da, one is known for almost 2 decades and more, since we both wrote for Times of India, I in Delhi and Bangalore and he in Ahmedabad. I was introduced to him by Mrinalini Amma, and he was at a launch of Attendance, and I saw somebody very quiet, very dignified, buying each old issue. And when I asked him why he was doing that, he said, because I'm a student of dance history and I'm a teacher of English language, and I want to learn from these books so I can also bring the national discourse into Gujarat. We've had a long association, we became friends. He also guest edited one special 15th anniversary issue, which was a benchmark issue because the subject was, where is classical dance in modern times? I must say we will all miss him for long. His death and passing away is irreparable. We can only wish others continue his mission and with vision. Mangalam Bhava, Om Shanti. Indeed, we feel very saddened.
When the earlier book, More Happenings, was released at Crossword, one of my friends, Chinubai Modi, observed it, finding that there was only standing room for the latecomers, that at occasions such as this, you get to know how much people love you. I think today there is a reaffirmation of what Chinubai said, how much people love me and people like me.
About 35-40 years back, three friends, Vijay Patiki of Atira, Barry Underwood of Axwam, and I, started an amateur English language theatre group called Playcart. Now that was a great novelty for Ahmedabad, because Ahmedabad then was a very small place. It wasn't the city it was now, and it was very, if I can use the term, very Gujarati by nature. And there were hardly any cultural activities to speak of. So therefore, something happening in English language was really something nobody would expect. Our initial plays were done in the backyard of houses, in a lily pond in NID, in a square in IIM, in the basement of SEPT. We really couldn't afford an auditorium for many years, and we preferred it that way. And we kept our tickets at 1 rupees and 2 rupees, and true Ahmedabadis still wanted the complimentary, comp ho to apo. Anyway, we progressed, but in this what happened was that we were all professionals, and there was some doubt in us, especially in me, that what is an IAS officer doing theatre for? It was then that I met S.D. Desai. S.D. Desai was the person who said that, look, you're all very senior people, you all have creative instincts, urges, and it is creativity which really brings out the best in a person, and he encouraged us. And he was a young professor those days in Natural Commerce College, teaching English, and he was very impressed by what we were doing with the students over here, and also opening up the cultural scene of Ahmedabad. He really encouraged us, and in private he would tell me to look, if you are a creative person and you do something creative, it's going to help you in your professional life, in your personal life. And how right he was. Later on I went to want to do photography, writing books, and I would give a lot of credit to this one single man amongst many others who encouraged me. But the first man to really encourage me and gave me confidence was S.D. Desai. We were, as you could say, formal friends. When I became Secretary Culture many years later, both of us got invited to several shows, whether it was theatre or dance or music. And we invariably sat next to each other or close to each other in the front row, and there were speeches and there were programs and awards. And we became very, very close friends. We began visiting each other, exchanging telephone calls and later on WhatsApp. And it went on like that. But when I was Secretary Culture, I thought I should do something for him. And what I did was that under the auspices of the Gujarati Sahitya Academy, I got Professor Desai to collect all the reviews which he had done for Times of India. And we compiled them, I think, in a 2-volume book. And we published it. And we released it. And that was a very good compilation for any student of culture in the history of culture in Ahmedabad, even many cultural sanstha, as we call it, whether it was theatre or dance or music, he has written reviews for them, and they can trace their own history through these reviews. And there were very interesting photographs also, which he used to always publish along with the reviews. So we could do this for him. Then Dr. Desai encouraged me to do a workshop, not one but several workshops, to translate Gujarati plays or adapt them, especially one-act plays, absurd theatre largely, into English language. At Hati Singh Center, where I'm grateful to Umang Hati Singh, the director, and the then secretary of the center, my wife, Mrs. Vinita Maira, for giving us space to hold seminars, to hold discussions, and to hold performances. And we really brought to fore to the English-speaking audience, English-knowing audience in Ahmedabad, the beauty and the complexity of absurd theatre in Gujarati. So, this is a story of a man, this is the story of a city, it is a story of the culture, it is a story of the history of the culture of the city. And I can think of no better tribute than this to give to my dear friend, Professor S.D. Desai. May his soul rest in peace.
I was very sad to hear about S.D. Desai because we had a very long time friendship, because he used to write about theatre, dance, music for the Times of India, and I used to write about art. That was how we met. And we often followed each other's columns and discussed what was happening in Ahmedabad. And if he wrote something which interested me, I would always call him, and he would be, in the same way, he would call me back if I wrote something that interested him, and he would discuss it. And that was a very nice friendship, as we were sort of colleagues. And whenever we met, it was always very pleasant to keep track of what was happening. So it will be a great loss to the cultural scene of Ahmedabad.
A dance performance and Desai Sahib is not there in the first row. After the dance performance, there is no review of S.D. Desai in Nartaki or any other media platform. It is very difficult to accept that Desai Sahib is no more with us.
Desai Sahib had made this his life mission, to be surrounded with dance, music, art and culture. We have had a very long and wonderful association with Desai Sahib. He was a very astute as well as affectionate dance critic, and was not just concerned with the dance but also with the dancer. And the cultural scene of Ahmedabad, of Gujarat, is certainly going to miss Desai Sahib. Basically, and to start with, he was a theatre person, but since a long time he has been involved with dance and dancers, and he understood dance so well that he became a dance person also. We are certainly going to miss him.
We will miss you, Desai Sahib.
મને ટાગોરની એક મને પ્રિય એ પ્રકારની પ્રાર્થના યાદ આવે. ટાગોરે એ પ્રાર્થનામાં કીધું કે હે પ્રભુ, મને વિપદા જ આવી ન પડે એવી મારી પ્રાર્થના નથી, પણ જ્યારે પણ એવી વિપદા આવી પડે ત્યારે એ સહન કરવાની મને શક્તિ આપી. 49 વર્ષ સુધી જે સંગાથે રહી તે જીવન સાથી મારી ગુમાવી.
મિત્રો, ગુજરાતના સાંસ્કૃતિક જગતમાં એસડીના હુલામણા નામથી જાણીતા તાજેતરમાં દુઃખદ અવસાન થયું. 4 દાયકા સુધી તેઓ ટાઈમ્સ ઓફ ઇન્ડિયામાં તેમજ વિવિધ અખબારોમાં નાટક વિશે, નૃત્ય વિશે, સંગીત વિશે કોઈ પણ કાર્યક્રમ હોય એના વિશે બહુ તટસ્થતાથી પણ સૌમ્યતાથી એ અનુદર્શન કરાવતા, રસદર્શન કરાવતા. આ એમની એક વિશેષતા હતી. માત્ર અમદાવાદના જ રંગમંચ પરના કાર્યક્રમો નહીં, પણ વડોદરા, સુરત, રાજકોટ, ભાવનગર જ્યાં જ્યાં પણ સારામાં સારી પ્રવૃત્તિ થતી હોય તો તેની નોંધ લેવાની એ અચૂક કાળજી રાખતા. આપણે જો છેલ્લા 50 વર્ષમાં મુંબઈની વ્યાવસાયિક રંગમંચ એની સમાંતરે ગુજરાતની, જેને આપણે વૈકલ્પિક રંગભૂમિ કહી શકીએ, એને કયા કયા નવા સોપાનો સર કર્યા, એનો જો આલેખ પ્રાપ્ત કરવો હોય તો આપણી પાસે અત્યારે માત્ર ને માત્ર એક જ સાધન છે, અને તે છે એસડીના નાટ્ય અવલોકન વિશેના, નૃત્ય અવલોકન વિશેના ગુજરાત સાહિત્ય અકાદમીએ પ્રકાશિત કરેલા 3 પુસ્તકો, દળદાર પુસ્તકો, હેપનિંગ્સ, મોર હેપનિંગ્સ, ઇમેજીસ. આ 3 પુસ્તકોમાંથી તમે જો પસાર થાવ તો તમને આપણા કલા જગતનો એક આઈનો પ્રાપ્ત થાય. હવે આ બધી મથામણ કોણ કરશે એવો પ્રશ્ન છે, કારણ કે મને તો ક્યાંય કોઈ નવી કલમ આ પ્રમાણે સતત નાટકની, સંસ્કૃતિની, કલા જગતની રસભરી વાતો કરતું હોય, રસાળ શૈલીમાં, સામાન્યમાં સામાન્ય માણસને સમજાય એવા સરળ અંગ્રેજી ભાષામાં પોતિકા શબ્દો બનાવીને જે વાત કરતા હતા એ એસડી હવે આપણી વચ્ચે નથી. આપણે નવી પેઢીને હવે એક આહ્વાન છે કે એસડીએ ચીંધેલો માર્ગ આપણે પ્રશસ્ત કરીએ. નમસ્કાર. મારી ત્રિવેણી સંસ્થા તરફથી એમને હાર્દિક શ્રદ્ધાંજલિ.
આપણી પ્રાચીન વાર્તાઓમાં તો કંઈ સંજીવનીની વાત છે, ચિર યુવાનીની વાત છે. સાચું કહું તો મને કંઈક એવું અંદરથી એવું ફીલ થવા લાગ્યું. શારીરિક ચુસ્તતા, સ્ફૂર્તિ મનની, કારણ કે કામ ઘણું બધું કરું છું. સવારમાં 5:30થી માંડી અને રાત્રે 12-12:30 સુધી એમાં મોટાભાગના કલાકો બેસીને માનસિક એ પ્રકારનું, ઇન્ટેલેક્ચ્યુઅલ એ પ્રકારનું કામ કરું છું. બહાર પણ ઘણું બધું જવું પડે છે, કોઈ ડાન્સનો પ્રોગ્રામ હોય, કે નાટકનો પ્રોગ્રામ હોય, સાહિત્યિક કાર્યક્રમ હોય, એ બધામાં. તો એને માટે તત્પરતા.
Namaste. Professor S.D. Desai, as I knew him, was a very astute, warm and clear individual. He knew his subject well and he was forthright in putting his views clearly. In the field of dance, he started writing not from the earliest times, but he developed the dance writings because he was good in his language. He acquired knowledge. About 4 days before he passed away so suddenly, at least we felt in Baroda that he passed away so suddenly. We were exchanging emails because he wanted to write about our festival that we did for Javechar Megani in August, and for which he could not come. Then ultimately he sent me a whole list of questions that maybe, Parulben, you write this, I will work it around myself and write a review, because it is very important that this word, especially using Gujarati literature and doing Bharatanatyam. Earlier, previous to that, we met when I went specially to Ahmedabad to attend Sanyukta Sinha's performance. That was very nice because Smita Ben Shastri, Suresh Bhai, me and all others were there to admire and perhaps in a way respect an individual's work. It is going to be a great loss for Gujarat and its dance world, because we have not too many people who write, not only just write, whose writings get accepted world over. So I will miss Suresh Bhai as a dear friend and also the one who supported dance so warmly. May his soul rest in peace. Om Shanti Shanti.
નમસ્કાર મિત્રો. પ્રોફેસર ડૉક્ટર S.D. દેસાઈના નિધનથી ગુજરાતના સમગ્ર કલા જગતને એક ન પૂરાય એવી ખોટ ઉપસ્થિત થઈ છે. ડૉક્ટર દેસાઈ અથવા તો દેસાઈ સરના હુલામણા નામે જે ઓળખાતા હતા એ સતત છેલ્લા 40 વર્ષથી સંગીત, નૃત્ય, નાટક અને અન્ય કલાઓને ખૂબ બધા વર્તમાન સામાયિક પત્રો અને અન્ય મેગેઝિનોમાં એ સતત લખતા રહ્યા છે. એમનું ખૂબ સબળ પાથરું એટલે નવામાં નવો કલાકાર જે ક્ષિતિજે ઊભો હોય એને સેન્ટર સ્ટેજમાં લાવી એની કલા વિશે પારખું બનવું, એની કલા વિશે લોકો સમક્ષ પ્રસ્તુત કરવું એ એમનું સૌથી મોટામાં મોટું જમા પાસું હતું. એમની વિવેચનામાં ક્યાંય તમને કટાક્ષપૂર્ણ અથવા તો ખૂબ કલાકારને દુઃખ પહોંચાડે એવા કોઈ પણ શબ્દનો પ્રયોગ એ ક્યારેય કરતા નહીં, પણ સાથે સાથે ખૂબ સરળ રીતે, સૂક્ષ્મ રીતે જે કલાકાર, દિગ્દર્શક, નૃત્યાંગના, સંગીતકારે સમજવું હોય એની તેઓ સ્પષ્ટપણે સમજ આપતા. એટલે એ વાચક અને પરફોર્મરે ઇન બિટવીન ધ લાઇન્સ વાંચીને પોતાની પ્રસ્તુતિ વિશે એની અંદરથી અવલોકન કરવાનું રહેતું હતું. એ સતત પ્રયોગો જોવા માટે ગુજરાતના ખૂણે ખૂણે જતા. ખાસ કરીને યુવક મહોત્સવમાં એમની અચૂક હાજરી રહેતી હતી. મને યાદ છે કે 91માં એમનો ત્રિવેણી અને PS ચારી સાથેનો સંબંધ શરૂ જ્યારે વિઝ્યુઅલ આર્ટ સેન્ટરની અંદર ત્રિવેણીએ 3 નવા જ એકાંકીઓ પ્રસ્તુત કર્યા હતા. એ પહેલી અમારી મુલાકાત. ત્યારબાદ 93માં વેસ્ટ ઝોન કલ્ચરલ સેન્ટર બરોડા ખાતે યોજાયો ત્યારે તેઓ વડોદરા સુધી સફર કરીને આવ્યા અને સતત એમણે આખા મહોત્સવને કવરેજ કર્યું. અને ત્યારબાદ તો અનેક વાર તેઓ વડોદરા આવ્યા, નાટકો જોયા, ઇવન કુચીપુડી, ભરતનાટ્યમ જેવા નૃત્ય પરફોર્મન્સીસ એમણે જોયા. અને વિશેષ મને આઈ વોઝ વેરી ટચ્ડ જ્યારે શાફ્ટ ઓફ સનલાઇટ નામનું અભિજાત જોશીનું નાટક અમે શેક્સપિયર સોસાયટીમાં કર્યું ત્યારે એઓ સ્વ ખર્ચે વડોદરા સુધી આવ્યા અને એમણે કહ્યું કે ના, મારે આ નાટક જોવું હતું એટલે સારી હું અહીંયા ઉપસ્થિત થયો છું.
I am deeply saddened by the sad demise of Suresh Bhai. Most of the people in the art world knew him as S.D. Desai. I had known him for more than 3 decades, and most of my solo performances as well as group productions he has reviewed within the span of 30 years. I found him to be a very scrupulous and honest person, and the art society, art field of Gujarat will remember him and miss him always as a very dedicated art critic and the only one in Gujarat. I'm really very sorry for what has happened and feel very sad about it. May God give his soul rest.
I knew Professor Desai from 1976. He used to teach us English in the postgraduate program. He was one of the finest teachers we had in the department. Later, when he started writing as an art critic, we used to meet often. He was a very gentle, fine personality, always ready to help academically and inspiring. One rarely finds a person like him who never had any sternness in spite of the power of his pen. We will really miss him, and especially I will miss him.
સુરેશભાઈ દેસાઈ, અમારા મિત્ર, સમીક્ષક, પ્રોફેસર S.D. દેસાઈના નામથી જે સુવિખ્યાત હતા, ખાસ કરીને પરફોર્મિંગ આર્ટ અમદાવાદ અને ગુજરાતના કલાકારોમાં એ ખૂબ જ લોકપ્રિય હતા. એમની લોકપ્રિયતાનું કારણ બીજું કંઈ નહીં હતું, પણ એમની કર્તવ્ય નિષ્ઠા આર્ટ પ્રત્યેની, ખાસ કરીને પરફોર્મિંગ આર્ટ પ્રત્યેની એમની કર્તવ્ય નિષ્ઠા. એમણે તમામ પરફોર્મન્સીસ, એ મારો પરફોર્મન્સ હોય, મારું નાટક હોય, કે મારા વાઈફનું ડાન્સ બેલે હોય, કે અન્ય કોઈનું પણ ડાન્સ બેલે હોય, ડાન્સનો પ્રોગ્રામ હોય, નાટક હોય, એની એક સાચા હૃદયથી, એક સાચા સમીક્ષક તરીકે સમીક્ષાઓ હંમેશા કરી છે. હું એવું માનું છું કે લગભગ એમને હું 30 વર્ષ કરતાં વધારે વર્ષથી જાણતો હતો. એ દરમિયાનમાં 30 વર્ષ દરમિયાનમાં, છેલ્લા 30 વર્ષ દરમિયાનમાં એમણે અનેક નાટકો અને નૃત્ય નાટિકાઓની સમીક્ષા કરી હશે, અને એકદમ કર્તવ્યનિષ્ઠ એપ્રોચ રાખીને અને સાચા અર્થમાં એક સમીક્ષક તરીકે એમણે હંમેશા કામ કર્યું છે. કોને સારું લાગશે, કોને ખરાબ લાગશે, એવું એમણે ક્યારેય વિચાર્યું જ નહોતું. મને માત્ર એમની સાથેનો એક ખાસ પ્રસંગ યાદ આવે છે. થિયેટર ઓલિમ્પિક્સમાં એમને 9 દિવસ, શરૂઆતના 9 દિવસ એંગેજ કર્યા હતા થિયેટર ઓલિમ્પિક્સ 2018માં, અને દેશ વિદેશના નાટ્યના દિગ્દર્શકો સાથે એમણે એમના ઇન્ટરવ્યૂ કરવાના હતા, અને એ કામ એમણે એટલા બધા ઉત્સાહ અને સચ્ચાઈપૂર્વક અને કર્તવ્યનિષ્ઠ રીતે એક સાચા સમીક્ષક તરીકે કામ કર્યું કે મને અને એમને ખૂબ આનંદ આવ્યો. સાથે કામ કરવાનો તો આનંદ ખરો જ. આજે S.D. દેસાઈ સાહેબ આ વિશ્વમાં નથી, આ દુનિયામાં નથી, આપણી સાથે નથી, પણ એમની યાદો હંમેશા આપણી સાથે રહેશે. ઈશ્વર એમના આત્માને શાંતિ આપે.
Namaskar. The reason is not very clear yet till the date, but I used to address Dr. Suresh Bhai D. Desai as Sir. Never a direct student of him, but he was a professor of English when I still was a student of English literature at the same university. Or maybe he had already well established himself as an art and performing art critic in the field of journalism when I was just writing a couple of articles in TOI Marquee. Or maybe many of his books were already published by prestigious publishers when he was part of the team that launched my first book in 2009 and then in 2022. And also he has shared the dais with many of my gurus in the seminars organized by Rasadvani every time. Or he was an honorable veteran, a highly respected personality in the field of art and culture, past more than 3.5 decades of the cultural scenario of Ahmedabad, Gujarat and India to a certain extent. But one fact I am clear about is, and that is, to all of us, he was lovingly addressed as SD. His not being around with us in any of dance, drama, music, book launch or literary event means part of the audience is missing. And today we are all here experiencing the vacuum of him not being around us. Simultaneously, we are celebrating his perpetual existence with us. Meeting various artists after the performance with smiling and admirable face, discussing the nuances, reminiscing the previous experience with the artist, all this has always awestruck the artist because of his remarkable memory of the performance that SD always has possessed. I have often noticed in his critical appreciation of writing, either in the Times of India, Smriti, Nartaki, Creative Yatra, or Attendance, that he was a sharp observer, used to wrap up the article with multiple references, of late even spiritual, and never directly annoying any performer, but smartly, calculatively, diplomatically, democratically, and dignified manner, presenting something that is not desirable in the performance piece. As Mrudulapati, he was mrudu, soft, witty, sharing, and caring. My last conversation with him was phenomenal. On seeing my photo posted by Shivangi on news of my attending one conference, share the paper with me if you can. Oh, smiling scholar, he commented by wishing me. On 11th December, 5 p.m. I have no doubt we all will cherish the time we have spent with him and be blessed forever. Thanks, SD Sir, for always loving and respecting us for so many years and decades. Pranam.
ગુજરાતની કલા પ્રવૃત્તિના એક મર્મગ્ન વ્યક્તિ એટલે પ્રોફેસર SD દેસાઈ. SD દેસાઈ એ રંગભૂમિના જુદા જુદા પાસાઓનો એટલો સુંદર રીતે અભ્યાસ કરીને પોતાની કોલમમાં લઈ આવતા કે જેથી કરીને નાટક ભજવનારાઓને બમણો આનંદ થતો. એ નાટકના દિગ્દર્શન વિશે, નાટકના અભિનય વિશે, એના લાઇટિંગ વિશે, એની રંગમંચીય કલાઓ વિશે એ અચૂક જુદા જુદા આસ્પેક્ટથી સતત લખતા, જેથી કલાકારો કે કલાની પ્રવૃત્તિ કરનારાઓ એ સતત પ્રોત્સાહિત થતા. નૃત્ય હોય કે નાટક હોય, SD દેસાઈ અમદાવાદમાં બનતી ઘટનાઓના એક મુખ સાક્ષી બની રહેતા અને પોતાની કલમમાં એ અચૂક આ બધી વસ્તુઓને લઈ આવતા હતા. ગુજરાતે બહુ મોટું અને ગુજરાતી નાટકોના એક ઊંડા અભ્યાસી વ્યક્તિને ગુમાવ્યા છે. એનું સૌને દુઃખ હોય, એની સાથે સાથે મને પણ ખૂબ દુઃખ છે. શ્રી SD દેસાઈ સાહેબને ભાવભીની શ્રદ્ધાંજલિ અર્પણ કરું છું.
As we remember Dr. SD Desai sir, who for now and shall forever from now on stay alive through his works and in our memories. I distinctly remember a couple of incidents and some emotional moments, apart from the many intense discussions that we used to have on arts and aesthetics. I remember him writing an elaborate article, a critique, immediately after my Arangetram in the mid-90s, while we were a very few bunch of male Gujarati classical dance performers in Gujarat. And I will always cherish having his blessings at every occasion, whenever we used to do some experiment with theatre or dance. I distinctly remember my mother, a noted performer herself, Annapurna Shukla, gifting me a pen with an inbuilt LED light which would glow while one would write in the dark. I requested her to gift this pen not to me, but to Dr. S.D. Desai sir, as he would be the one sitting in the dark in the audience and evaluating and critiquing our performances, while we would be in front of the limelight. Dr. S.D. Desai sir will always remain with us through his works and his blessings and his immense knowledge that he shared with all the performers, and his immense contribution in uplifting the taste of the audiences of Gujarat.
હરિઓમ. એસડી દેસાઈ સાહેબ ખૂબ જ સરળ છતાંય ખૂબ જ પ્રભાવશાળી વ્યક્તિત્વ. તેમના વિશે શું કહું? મારા તેમજ પરંપરા એકેડેમી ઓફ પરફોર્મિંગ આર્ટ્સ માટે એક ફાધર ફિગર, ફેમિલી મેમ્બર હતા. હંમેશા ખૂબ જ ઉત્સાહથી, ખૂબ જ આનંદથી દરેક પ્રસંગે અમારી સાથે ઊભા રહેતા. તેમનું મારી સાથેનું સંબંધ HL કોલેજ ઓફ કોમર્સના ઇંગ્લિશ પ્રોફેસર જ્યારે તે હતા, એટલે જ્યારે હું કોલેજમાં ભણતી ત્યારથી અમારા ખૂબ જ ગાઢ સંબંધો હતા. અને તેઓ હંમેશા મને એક વિદ્યાર્થીની તરીકે શું કરવું, કેમ આગળ વધવું જીવનમાં, ખૂબ સરસ કરે છે, હજુ આગળ શું કરીશ, તેના વિશે પ્રોત્સાહન તેમજ માર્ગદર્શન આપતા જ રહેતા હતા. હું એવું માનું છું કે લૌકિક જીવનમાંથી જે જીવ આવ્યો છે તે દરેક જીવ વિદાય લે છે, પણ અલૌકિક જીવનમાં તે હંમેશા આપણી સાથે જ રહે છે. અને તેનો અનુભવ જ્યારે હમણાં જ પરંપરા એકેડેમીનું પ્રથમ રંગ પ્રવેશમ હતો ત્યારે મેં અનુભવ્યો છે. ઓડિટોરિયમમાં મને દેસાઈ સાહેબની એનર્જી તેમજ તેમના બ્લેસિંગ્સ સતત જણાયા છે. તો હું કહીશ કે તે હંમેશા ને હંમેશા મારી સાથે જ રહેશે. બીજલ તારું ગીગલ લાફ નથી સાંભળ્યું, વેરી બિઝી ગર્લ, તેમના તે શબ્દો હજુ મને ક્યારેક ક્યારેક કાનમાં ગૂંજતા જ રહે છે.
એટલે કદાચ ને હું ઘણું લાંબુ જીવી જઈશ, કદાચ ને એટલા માટે કહેવું પડે કે મનુષ્ય જીવન છે અને અનિશ્ચિતતાઓ એમાં ઘણી બધી હોય.
We lost him on 13th December, and I thought we have shared almost 4.5 decades together, and I should be doing a tribute to Professor S.D. Desai. Many other stalwarts who have readily sent in their feelings, their tribute for Professor S.D. Desai. I'm sure wherever he is, he's writing new history. Professor S.D. Desai, rest in peace.